So I know most, if not all of you out there have an amazing product or service. You've been really working really hard on your business, whether it's brand new or you've been established for a while. But we all struggle many times to attract the right audience. You've posted on social media here and there, probably. You probably sent emails, maybe even regularly, but nothing quite seems to move the needle as fast as you'd like. But the truth is, your audience won't find you unless you give them a reason to. And that's where content marketing comes in. Today, we're diving into the power of content marketing and how you can leverage blog posts, videos, and more to drive traffic, build trust, and convert visitors into paying customers. So whether you're an e-commerce business owner, a course creator, or a coach, this episode will give you some actionable strategies to make content marketing work for you. Welcome to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Saunders. When we started this business, all I had was a couch, a laptop, and a 9-month-old. My main goal? To help others. Now, with over 20 years in the e-commerce building industry and even more than that in web development, I have seen a lot. I love breaking down the hard tech into easily understandable bits to help others be successful in their online business. Whether you're a seasoned e-commerce veteran or just starting out, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of e-commerce together. So welcome back to the show. Before we break down the different types of content, I want to talk about why content marketing is a must-have for any online business. And I want to help make it accessible to you as well if you're not already doing this, or help you level it up if you are doing some content marketing already. It is your digital salesperson. So think of content marketing as your digital salesperson. It isn't something where you're just creating something and hoping it sticks. We want to create highly leveraged assets that help bring in customers regularly. It is always working even when you're not. Whether it's a blog post, a YouTube video, or a podcast episode, high quality content can attract your ideal customers without you even working. They find your content, your customers find your content when searching for answers. So when you build your blog posts, your YouTube videos, or your podcast in a way that when they're searching, they find your element, the thing that you've created as an answer to their solution, it helps attract them to your website and to your services. Content marketing also helps build trust and credibility. Consistently providing value makes people more likely to buy from you. And also think of this, when you go to a person's website, say you see the word blog up there, you're probably going to be curious and click on it, especially if you're interested in their services. But what happens if you see the last blog date being 6 months ago or more? You're probably not going to trust that person as much because you feel like, well, if they don't care to put new content on their website, will they even care when I'm working with them? So if you have a blog, I highly recommend you're posting at least once a month on it. And we've talked about this several times on the podcast episode. Same goes for YouTube videos. You know, if you have started a YouTube channel, you have it prominently displayed on your website, we want to make sure that you are putting in a new content. Potentially once a month is fine. Maybe more often might be more appropriate depending upon your area of expertise and who you're trying to attract. But having that regular content builds trust and authority. It shows that you care and you want to give back to society, as well as it shows you're active in your business. It also helps improve search engine optimization and drive traffic to your website. The more quality content you have, the more the search engines recommend your website. It's similar to that visitor that comes to your website. If they don't see any new content for a long time, they're going to think your website's stale and unimportant. And Google, Bing, and the major search engines also see that as well. So if they're not seeing regular updates to your content, new content too, they're going to start ranking you not as high as they did before. It also helps increase conversions. People buy from people they trust. So when they see this content and they see that it's trustworthy, it's helpful, it's regular, looks like you care, it really builds that trust factor in your potential clients. So that can also really help you sell more on your website. So I want to now go into the different content formats that we could do because everybody's a little bit different on what format they're comfortable producing in. You might be more comfortable writing a blog post. You might be more comfortable doing a podcast like this. You could be one that would be even more comfortable being in front of a camera and doing a YouTube video. So we want to look at some of the different types of ways you can produce content so that you can find the one that works for you. And then we're also going to be talking about now what? Maybe you want to repurpose it. Maybe you want to expand it elsewhere too. So we'll talk about that too. So blogging is one of the foundation core elements of content strategy. It can be the thing that you do, and it can be perfectly fine. So if you're great at blogging, if you're great at writing, and even if you feel like you're mediocre, I encourage you to try blogging because the more you practice, the better you're going to get. Just like, when I started this podcast, I felt a bit awkward at first, of course, right? Because I hadn't really I had never done podcasting. I'd done plenty of lives on Facebook, but I never done podcasting. So the more you practice on it, the better you get. So even if you feel like you're only mediocre at blogging, even if you feel like you have some good ideas, then go ahead and do it, because I bet you are going to get better and better the more you do it. And we also have a great episode on how to have AI help you write that content, especially if you're like me, where you have these creative ideas, but you get stuck fleshing out, like say the outline or something. And AI is great at creating that outline for you that you can then speak to and write to. So it is a great way to drive consistent content to your website because it is living on your website. That's the one great thing about blogging, is it lives on your website. So when you're creating a blog, there's a few things you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you're trying to solve a problem for your client. So what is your audience actively seeking out? What are they searching for? Think about some FAQs you might put up, how-tos and guides. Think about the subjects you might write around that, and then start writing blog articles that are a bit deeper into those subjects and that can draw people in. And then I want to make sure you're using keywords wisely. So when you're creating these blog posts, think of one main topic. It's kind of like you're writing to your English teacher in school. One main topic per blog post. And that one main topic should have some keywords in it that your audience would be searching for when they're searching on the internet. So make sure you sprinkle those throughout your blog posts appropriately. And we have some other episodes on search engine optimization that can help you fill that out and get a little bit more detail there. Also, we want to make it scannable. A lot of people, and actually most people, the majority, pretty much all people out there will not read an article on the internet unless it draws in their attention first. And that's what I mean by scannable. We want to have those really compelling headlines. And you want to break up your blog article with several headlines and have them be compelling to draw that reader in. Make them want to actually read the paragraphs that are underneath those headlines. So first we need to make it scannable to draw them in, and then they can absorb your great content that you've created. You also want to include a call to action. So what should they do next? They get your great article and they're like, wow, this is really great. This is something I see people forget to do. At the bottom of your blog, at minimum, make sure you have a call to action. Do you want them to subscribe to your newsletter to get more of this great content? Do you want them to buy a product or service? Download something. Make sure you have one clear call to action in each blog post. Also in your blog post, we want to make sure that you are making about the audience and not you. So make sure you're not focusing on you and that you're focusing on helping your audience. So that's one really great key that helps build that trust. And then we'll talk about repurposing, but we can totally repurpose blogs, especially into emails, social media posts, and also into videos too. So if you're not already creating regular content, I want to encourage you to pick one of these that we're talking about today. And then once you're comfortable with that, then expand to repurposing it as well. And also make sure we're not writing a bunch of fluff. It's always quality over quantity every time. You can have a great short blog post article that hands down does much better than one that's 5-10 times its length. So make sure it's quality over quantity every time. And if you're stuck about what to write about, use your customers' questions as blog posts. What do they usually ask you? What are they asking you in email? What are they asking you in Messenger or on sales calls? turn those into content. That's a great way to draw more of those people who are already reaching out to you and needing your products or your services. So then the next topic we're going to talk about is video content. It is one of the great ways to really create that regular content out there for your potential audience, and it can be a really fast track to engagement. The reason being is that videos generate 1,200% more shares, shares across social media and all the things than text and images combined. So think about that. If you're capable and brave enough to create video, and I know some people are a little afraid of it, but like I said, practice makes perfect. You are going to be able to get a lot more widespread shares than other people. So whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, if it's still around, that's been a bit up in the air as of lately, video is the most engaging form of content. We're consuming it a lot anymore. So if you are able and, willing to put forth the effort to really create video content, it can be a really great idea for your business. So there's some ideas that you can do for video. And one of them is behind the scenes. A lot of customers are really interested in what happens behind the scenes. Show your process, your workspace, or your team. Customers buy from humans. They don't buy from businesses. So when they can relate to you because they see your behind the scenes work, that can really help them build that trust in you. Also, how-to tutorials are great. Teach something valuable about your industry or what you're serving or your products. It's really great to just draw those people in, because a lot of people are searching for how to, blank, so whatever you're selling and serving, you can put that how to, whatever it is, in your subject matter in the title for your video. So it's a great way to get natural searches to you. Customer testimonials is another thing you can do for videos. Nothing builds trust like a real customer story. So having videos on it, and even better, if you can have a video interview or have your customer do their own video, that makes it even more trustworthy. So customer testimonials are a great video resource for you. Also, live Q&As. Engaging directly with your audience and answering their questions live on video really shows that you care. So it's a really great option for video that you might not think about. And I actually hadn't really even thought about it much until I started writing this podcast episode. But live Q&As are a great way to really just engage with your audience and encourage more questions and more feedback. And that's going to actually create a snowball effect. And you're going to learn even more about your potential clients out there than you had before. So some things we want to make sure we're doing when we are doing videos is we want to keep it short and valuable. A great video can be less than 5 minutes. It could be less than a minute too. A great video could be 20 minutes. It could be 40 minutes. It really just depends on the subject, but you want to have it as short as possible for what you're trying to do. So we don't want to just keep talking for no reason in your video and keep it going for longer, because long videos, you're just going to bore them and they're going to leave and jump off the video. So make sure it's concise and as long as it needs to be. But again, it could be 40 minutes if that's what you really need to show or demonstrate what you're trying to show or demonstrate. So don't feel like it can't be longer either. Just want to make sure you understand not to make it long just to make it long. Also, adding captions is a must. I know, especially for me, many times I'm not watching video with the sound on, and a lot of other people also don't watch video with the sound on, and it also helps it make it more accessible to all people. So making sure that we are adding captions or using something that can put captions on it for us is definitely a must. And then I want to make sure that you're using a strong hooks. The first few seconds must grab their attention. That way it keeps them hooked and keeps them wanting to watch more. And I want to make sure that when you're creating videos, don't aim for perfection. Authenticity beats overly polished content. So make sure you are being you. So be brave. Don't worry about what others think. It doesn't matter what you do on the internet. There's going to be people that criticize you no matter what. You could be perfect and you're still going to get criticized, because many times people who criticize have something that they're upset about in themselves, and that's how they express it. It just comes out and they criticize other people. So don't worry about being criticized. Don't worry about being perfect. Just be authentically you. And then make sure that you're doing a call to action in your video too. Tell them what to do next. Make it really brief. Don't make it super long and chunky and clunky, make it pretty brief, but tell visitors what to do next. They may love your content, but we all are so decision fatigued. That little nudge of what to do next really helps their brain take that next step rather than them having to figure out, okay, well, what should I do next? I like this person. Now what? Tell them what to do. And also don't post without repurposing. So this is kind of a key. So turn those videos into blog posts. I want to, kind of weave all this together. You could turn your blog posts into videos, and then or if you start with a video format, you could turn those videos into blog posts. Why not repurpose it? You could turn the videos into podcast episodes and social media clips. It's really easy to take a video anymore and create little shorts for it, and you can post it on all the other social media platforms as well. So I want to challenge you today. Can you record a 60-second video introducing yourself and your business and post it on your favorite platform? That's my one little challenge for you today, as I want you to create a 60-second video, introduce yourself and your business, and post it on your favorite platform. I want to see what it does for you. And then finally, I want to talk about something we've glanced on some while we're going through this podcast episode is repurposing your content. We want to work smarter, not harder. So whether and we didn't dive too much into podcast episodes and creating those on the show today, but you could pick, do you feel more comfortable creating blog posts? Do you feel more comfortable doing a podcast episode? Do you feel more comfortable doing a video? Pick which one you're most comfortable with. Start with that one. And then explore expanding that one piece of content into one of the other forms. So let's repurpose that content. So one piece of content can turn into 10 or more pieces of content. So I want to help you stop creating from scratch every time. We want to be smart. People consume content in different ways. It's okay if your blog post and your video are on the same subject and you're saying practically the same thing in both of them, because some people are video watchers, some people are readers. So it's okay. So take your blog post. You can turn your blog post into a LinkedIn article. You can take your blog post, you can pull key tips out of it and put it on an Instagram post, maybe put it on a pretty graphic that matches your brand colors. So if you're writing blog posts, you can record a video sharing the same information. You can maybe even add a bit more of a visual twist to it if you'd like to go that far with it. It could be something you work towards as well. Let's say when you're also one of those bloggers, you can send your blog post or a snippet of it to your email newsletter, teasing them and then having the link back to your website to read the rest of the article. You can also take your blog post and break it into short form videos. You can create little short form videos from your blog post. Take a paragraph, a sentence or two, hopefully your paragraphs are short. Let me mention that real quick. Make sure your paragraphs are pretty short when we're writing blog posts too, because people don't read a whole lot of words at a time on the internet. So you can take one of those little paragraphs that's 2 or 3 sentences long and create a little short form video and put it on social media. So if you're already writing blog posts, I want to challenge you to take your most popular blog post and turn it into a video or a podcast episode and see how that feels. You don't have to publish it. Don't get too pressured. You don't have to publish it. I do challenge you to publish it, but you wouldn't have to, but practice that. How does that feel? Does it feel pretty good to repurpose that content and reuse it and say, oh, this effort I already put in, it's going to extend further. I'm getting more bang for my buck for this effort. So I really challenge you to do something like that this week. Okay, so final thoughts. Why content marketing matters. What's the best part of content marketing? It works long term. It works for you when you're not working. So a blog post from a year ago can still bring you traffic today. A YouTube video from years ago can generate new leads today. So if you're not using content marketing yet, I would encourage you to start small. Like I said in the beginning, pick one format: blogging, videos, social media posts, could be a podcast too. If you'd like more information on that, make sure you reach out to us. We'll also link to our great episode with Crystal Profit, and who is my podcast teacher. So you can learn more about podcasting if that's interesting to you. And then I want to make sure that you're consistent. So pick the format, pick how often. I would recommend at minimum once a month, but really when you're getting started, I want to get you really in the habit of it. So once a week would be even better. Be consistent. Make it a non-negotiable. When I started this podcast, it was not negotiable. Every week I was going to release an episode. So make it, set yourself a goal and a deadline and a consistency that your schedule that you're going to stick to. Make sure it's reasonable. I had to think, can I do this podcast every week? And I was like, yes, I am committed. I am going to do this podcast episode every week. So make sure you're doing that. And remember, content marketing isn't about selling all the time. It's about building the relationship, trust, and authority. So if you do that, sales will naturally follow. So just remember that. All right, so that's all we have today for this week's episode of the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. I hope this is super helpful and encouraging and will get you on your way to creating or making your own content marketing even better. If you have any questions for us, be sure to drop us an email at podcast@bcsengineering.com. There's also a text carry button at the top of the show notes in your favorite podcast app. So feel free to click on that. It goes directly to me and you can text me. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And you can always find our show notes at ecommercemadeeasypodcast.com. And we will see you next week.